we got to start with the champions, Manchester City, taking on Tottenham Hotspur. The Harry Kane saga bubbling in the background.
The Kane derby.
The Kane derby, possibly. We'll get to Kane in a minute. But the headline, Tottenham win 1-0 with a counter-attacking goal from Heung-Min Son.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the script before.
4 games at the Tottenham Stadium for City under Pep. 4 defeats, 0 goals scored. I think there is something in that stadium that they struggle with. I mean, Spurs played a really good game in what they wanted to do, and you can see already what Nuno wants to do.
Well, you were there. Was it as defensive and counter-attack oriented as it looked?
Yeah, it was. But I think that suited them perfectly, because they defended with 7, 8, if you count Lloris, and attacked with 3. That was it. Bergwijn, Lucas, and Son. And they could have scored 1 more probably, but they played really well collectively as a collective strength. But with City, on the other hand, were not good at all. There was no movement. They looked tired. As much as Spurs looked fit and really fit and went for it, City was the opposite. I don't know if they're going through right now maybe a very heavy fitness preparation, fitness work or something. But especially after the break, they all went down completely physically. It was really strange.
It felt to me like it was one of those games where City started well, maybe could have scored in the first 10, 15 minutes. And then, like you said, they generally went flat. And maybe until the end when, no surprise, Kevin De Bruyne came on for his 10-minute cameo. What struck me, though, Jules, was in that period when they weren't good, City normally, they move the ball so quickly. It looks to me like Jack Grealish hasn't found his position on the pitch, which is understandable. It's his first competitive game. But equally, I wasn't sure in a game like this where the opposition is going to have, is going to set up the way Nuno was going to set up. Did we need the Gundogan and Fernandinho?
No, I agree with you. I thought the lineup was wrong. But maybe there's something we don't know about the lineup in the sense that some players have come back later than others. Maybe Rodri could not start and could not play an hour, and that's why he didn't start.
That's the thing. Rodri goes out and you need to replace him with 2 people.
Yeah, I know. Ways, and to move the ball quickly, I know he's a bit slow with his movement because he's big and tall. But this was a game where Fernandinho just could not do what City would need. But also the fact that there was no movement, there was so many times, both in the first and the second half, the guy on the ball for City just looked, and around him, they was just like static. Everybody was static. The fullbacks didn't do anything. The wide players were just waiting for the ball, Sterling and Mahrez, to come to their feet. There was no movement. Torres tried a little bit, but one, is not his position, and 2, they never give him the ball anyway. So it was stale. It was so stale. I was so surprised. And even Pep's changes, I thought were poor overall. And for Grealish, you're right. I don't know if that's his right position to play, let's say, in the De Bruyne's role. Him and Sterling were too close to each other too often. And before the game, Mendy had a long chat on the pitch just before kickoff with Grealish. And I saw him after the game and I said, I asked him, what did you say to him? He said, with Pep, it's so difficult when you knew to understand where you have to play, what you have to do, where you have to move. But I'm not sure Grealish really understood what Mendy was saying either.
We're going to get into this more in the podcast segment, but we have to talk here at the top about the issue with Harry Kane. Now, obviously, I wasn't here. I'm sure you guys did a sterling job of handling it. He comes back. He doesn't come back. He says, I don't want to get into it now, which is no explanation. But the point is, he wasn't in the matchday squad.
No.
He was in the stadium, supposedly, but nobody actually, no cameras actually picked him up. I'm assuming you didn't see him.
No.
You didn't see him either.
No.
You still convinced that he's going to, because there was a piece by Johnny Northcroft in the Sunday Times. Obviously, he had some access.
Yeah.
He certainly gave the impression that Spurs are convinced that he's not going anywhere and he's going to stay, almost that they don't expect another bid, or at least not a bid that's going to be sufficient.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
It does, but I still think City will make that bid. And I think once the offer is on the table, there's no way Spurs can say no after promising him almost last summer, to let him go for the right amount of money. But you can't say to a player, okay, give us 1 more year, and then the following summer when the offer is there saying, actually, give us another year. So what, 2 years in a row?
Okay, I will come out and I will say this now, okay? And I've said it before on the show. This gentleman's agreement stuff is nonsense. It's complete nonsense. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I'm saying you are a fool for believing it. Your advisors are fools for believing it.
You can't say to your captain, Harry Kane, well, to Harry Kane, okay, give us one more year. Just one more year. We know you want to go. We know City have already made an approach. We know you want to go. Give us one more year. Mourinho said the same to him, give me one more year, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah,
and
you need to be a little more grown up if you're going to go and believe that. That's just my view. We're going to get into it more in the podcast.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.